Now we're gonna go ahead and see the last build for, at least for now, these are my 3 builds. I am gonna be doing more build videos as my taste and my curiosity evolves with different builds and whatnot. I'm not gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna do every build. Nah, just gonna do builds that I myself like to play, so they're all gonna have like kind of like my signature rings and things that I just like using. Unless somebody says they want to see anything, if you want to see any type of like build, or you have a ring or something and you don't know how to use it, just hit me up. I check my comments every day, so just hit me up, tell me, hey, I have this ring, I don't know what this shit is worth for or what it's good for, or hey, I really like this weapon, but I don't know how to make it strong. Just hit me up and I'll do my best. I'll just sit a couple of hours and do some labbing. I'll get you a cool build. I know that there's players that they are very skilled, but they're not very good when it comes to builds. And there's people like me that are pretty much the opposite, right? Like, we specialize in doing builds. So let's go ahead and see what we have right now. We already did a couple of elemental builds, right? 2 elemental builds. One with damage and mobility, the other one with damage and regeneration. Very cool builds, very solid. But what if you don't want elements? When you're like, you know what, I'm not like a fan of elements. Like, I'm okay if they're there, but I don't want to focus on them. That's fair, that's fair. So that's why I'm bringing you this. As you can see, my 3 builds, the 3 builds that we've seen in this video, on the past 2 videos, are my main builds as of right now. They are indeed what I use. So let's go ahead and see what I'm doing here. So first, we're going to see the armor. We put as much armor as we were able to pack. We do have a decent armor rating of 138, increasing damage reduction by 41%. Hey, I'll take it. That's good. This is not a defensive build, though, but it has solid defenses. Like you can see here, we have damage reduction, a total of 46, which is okay. It's not the biggest one ever. Like, just if you remember my build for electricity that had the engineer, it had higher value, like by 2%. Anyhow, so this is not like a focused defense build, even if it kind of looks like it, but it's not. It's a DPS build. You heard me right. It's a DPS build. So the weapon that we're using is Bonesaw. I saw this weapon, like I started with the Challenger as my first original class, and I saw this weapon, I'm like, man, one day I'm gonna do an OP build with it, and I did. So basically, this is what we have. We have Overflow is gonna be our mod. It's not because of the shock damage, it is because of the 15% fire rate increase. So this build is gonna focus on this weapon and increasing the fire rate as high as possible. That's how we're gonna get DPS numbers. The shock damage is nice, I guess, but it's not important for this build. Ingenuity is basically what makes this weapon work in conjunction with micro compressor, or whatever it's called. We're gonna see it soon. Ingenuity reduces the heat generation of this weapon by 50%. I mean, that's one of the downsides of this weapon, is it overheats. Now with this, 50% less. And then whenever you reload, it's going to increase based on the weapon hits accumulation. So whatever your hit is going to help with reloading. For weapon, we're using the Abyssal Hook. I just think it's a good weapon even on its own, like without anything. 80% stagger modifier and an ability that lets you increase 30% more stagger. Like, just on its own is a beast. It's not an important part of the build, though. This weapon, like, it can be whatever. I don't really know if this is optimal here. The sidearm, it can be whatever. Honestly, Firestorm, I just have it here because I like it, and the other thing because it does corrosive. So with this weapon only, I can put 2 elemental statuses if needed, and corroded increases all damage taken. So it kind of helps a bit with the DPS. But the sidearm can be whatever you want. Same for the melee. The important thing here is the heavy machine gun. So let's go ahead and see, before we get into the rings and the amulet, we'll go ahead and see the archetype. So we're using Rampage, which in my personal opinion is the best DPS tool in the game. Basically giving you 15% fire rate, 25% reload speed, more movement speed, and it lasts around 13 seconds. This is thanks to one of the rings that we have. Now, if you kill and deal significant, well, every time you kill or deal significant damage, you get 1 stack of rage, increasing the damage. Once it gets to 10, basically meaning that you have 25 more range damage, then the challenger goes berserk, reloading the weapon, doubling the rampage effects for almost 20 seconds. I just want to let you process all those numbers there for a second. That's a lot of damage. Now, the traits, the perks are not particularly necessary for this build, although close quarters gives you a huge damage bonus at 35% if you have enemies close to you. So that is 35% is a lot of damage if they're close to you, so it will take it. Helps also a lot with your melee weapon, hitting good chunks of HP. Intimidating presence is not really great. Power lifter is very good. It helps with the weight increase. That's why we have such heavy armor. And stamina regen delay. So you get good benefits there for defense. And in the face of ranger, that using a relic gives you defense and damage. So that is pretty good. Now for the gunslinger, naturally this guy gives you 15% fire rate, right? That's 15% fire rate off the bat, with 25 more range damage and 5% critical for all firearms. All of these things are good. More reload speed is appreciated, doubled if the magazine is empty. Using a relic reloads a quick firearm and range damage increase. And bullet storm, which is in my personal opinion like a weaker version of rampage, but it's still pretty good. Gives you 20% more fire rate, 50% more reload speed for 25 seconds. It's good, like it's decent. Again, it's like a lesser rampage, but in my personal opinion, Bulletstorm really benefits weapons that are single shot because they become fully automatic. So weapons such as, let me give you a good example, like Nightfall become obscenely OP with Bulletstorm, right? Anyways, so now that you see, we have already 15% fire rate, and now we're using the Gunslinger's Charm, giving us an extra 15% fire rate. So now we have 15 and 15, that's 30, and if we activate Overflow, we have 45, and that's even before using our abilities of Rampage or Bulletstorm, which would increase effectively the rate of our fire over 50. Ouch. We have compressor, which reduces heat generation per round and increases heat decay rate. This, in conjunction with our Mutator of Ingenuity, lets you use weapons that overheat without the overheat mechanic, basically. Just removes it out of the question. We have Black Cat Band, which is our defensive ring, basically lets us survive with 1 HP. During a battle, if you see me play or whenever I'm streaming, you'll notice that what I do is as soon as I get to 1 HP, I hide, I heal, I change the ring. But you can, if you don't like the Black Cat Band, you can just use anything else. It's funny because even if it's not hugely defensively, you can survive 1 fatal blow with a Black Cat Band and 1 fatal blow with your Prime perk, which lets you revive and with 100% HP and being vulnerable for 3 seconds. So you have 2 free saves in case you commit a mistake and you die. So I like that. We have Zania's Malice, which again, in my personal opinion, is one of the better rings in the game. 30% more range damage on weak spots. It's like, I'll take it. And finally, Stone of Continuance, huge for this build. Basically, is what increases the duration of this increases the duration of both your Bulletstorm and your Rampage. Yes, this is a DPS build. We have ammo reserves thanks to the gunslinger, so we have even more bullets. We have a bit of regrowth here. We have all of this in level 5 maximum as always. Swiftness, strong back to carry more armor. We are maxing out our bark skin to have more defense and our shade skin more defense. Revivalist to revive quickly, and footwork. If you like, if you like, you can sacrifice some defense, shade skin. You can sacrifice some bark skin or even footwork and maybe use something like handling, right? It's up to you, honestly. This game has something very interesting. So you can always grab any build like this build and just fine tune it to whatever your own specifications are. It's very difficult to have a bad build in this game, honestly. Very, very difficult. So let's see how this build is played. This build does not have super fast mod regen as my other build. So again, the secondary weapon is now not important. Like, I have Firestorm because I personally like it. It does decent damage and it traps certain type of characters, immobilizing them for an easy pick. So I like it, I have it, whatever. Then I have with my sidearm, I have like corrosive damage. As you can see, the damage up close is pretty big. If I hit at this guy here, it's 158. But if I hit that guy there, it's like 199. So that's one of my challenger perks, right? The one that gives me a lot of damage. So potentially, you could say you could get a lot more damage if you are at a close distance, but we want to be fair about it. So we're gonna use like a medium range so that our close range, maybe this one. So that our close range skills don't activate, right? So, okay. So you have 3 abilities that directly boost your weapon. You have your mod and the 2 skills. Then I would highly recommend for you to have, you can see to the bottom left, to have the bullet box, the ammo box, because you are more possibly than not maybe gonna need it. You are gonna be shooting a lot. So this is the order that I like using it. I begin with I call it Berserker, but it's the Challenger Frenzy. Combined with the mod power of the electric bullets. This gives you insane amount of damage. Really quick, you're gonna get to the second phase of the Berserker Frenzy state, doing a lot of damage. Now, before the Berserker stage ends, I think the mod is gonna end, which means you're gonna start loading it. As soon as my Berserker Rage ends, I'm gonna start with Bulletstorm. While Bulletstorm is active, I'm gonna regenerate my mod, and before my bullets are gone, I can activate the mod to recharge my weapon and keep shooting. You're gonna see the damage. It is pretty considerable, if you want to say it in a way. Let's see it. Over 2,000 DPS. Oh, I had to reload. Okay, now I activate my other ability. Now we're using Bulletstorm. My bullets are about to run out, but now I use my mod. I still have 4 seconds of Bulletstorm. And I'm out of skills. Okay, so that's basically how you're gonna, well, how I do the flow of the skills and the thing. I make sure that there's always something on my gun. Always something on my gun. We were able to get over 2,000 DPS that's damage per second. We were able to get almost to 2,200, maybe a bit over 2,200. A total of 90k damage. using all of our mods and skills, right? So that's basically what the build does. If you don't want no fancy strategies or anything like that, and you just want to shoot a lot and shoot hard, who's talking to you, bro? You're in the middle of my video. Fuck out. Then this build might be your cup of tea. Like, you will always have something to empower your weapon, always. Either the bullet storm. Normally, if I'm just walking through a map, I'll just activate the bullet storm to deal with mini groups of opponents. The damage is pretty considerable, and instead of reloading, my bullets are about to run out, and I use my mod power. So basically, I use my mod power as a quick reload. If you're using, what's his face? If you're using bullet storm, your reload speed is still gonna be pretty enhanced, so don't worry too much about it. The damage is spectacular on this build. I would just tell you to give it a try. So it is a build that I did particularly for my for the Bonesaw, so it is pretty much the best weapon for this build. Not gonna lie, although there is a possibility that you can do the same with the plasma cutter. It is possible. Like, it is basically the same mechanic. We can go ahead and give it a try, but it's just less damage, less magazine, so I don't know exactly, but I do like the bonus of damage that it gets. It's just not a bonus of rate of fire, so I don't know. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. Apologies. What the shit is that thing? What's the name of the thing? Ingenuity. Okay, let's see how this works. So first of all, with this ring and this mutator, you're gonna notice that we don't overheat. We just don't overheat. So let's go ahead and test this build real quick. With the laser, we're gonna use the plasma cutter. Me personally, I love the machine gun, the heavy machine gun. It just gives me that Rambo feel, bro. But if you prefer having the plasma cutter because you wanna go for that sci-fi vibe, well, let's see if it works. Again, I'm gonna use the mod basically just to reload the weapon on dire need, because I know that at the end of the mod, they got the weapon overheats, with this being fair, a little shit, but we'll go ahead and see if I can make it work. So first I'm gonna use Berserk, and then I go to Bullet Storm. Let's go. It doesn't work. Well, I mean, it does damage. I still have 14 seconds of Bullet Storm. Five, four, three, two, one. Alrighty, so you can do more damage with Plasma Cutter. Maybe I was too close, so I activated the 35% bonus on this thing. I think maybe I was too close and I activated my my damage perk, which increases 35% damage. We should see, but the thing is that it works. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter, it works. So either weapon, it is a build specifically designed for weapons that overheat. It can be used with the Plasma Cutter, as we just saw. It does a pretty impressive amount of damage. For range and other reasons, I personally like the Bonesaw. Just look at the numbers. More weak spot damage, more stagger, more critical chance, better damage fall-off, better ideal range, just less accuracy, but this weapon gets more accurate the more you shoot. So, and I don't know, I personally just like my machine gun, but if you like the plasma cutter, we just saw it does a lot of damage too. So there you have it. This is a DPS build designed just to run and gun and do a lot of damage without having to think too much about strategy. So thanks for watching this one too, guys. See you around. Leave in the comments if you have any ideas of anything that you want me to do, any type of build, and I'll check on it, okay? Till next time. GG.